I'm being joined by one of the presidential spokespersons of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council. I'm being joined by Dr. Daniel Buala, a lawyer, who joins us live here in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Buala, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me, and good evening.
It seems is there a gag for you guys not to respond? It's become so difficult to get any person it's not that very difficult for us. It's a difficult job to get this show done,
Right.
but it's not always that difficult for us to get people to respond to these kind of issues. But why, is there a gag?
That speaks to the maturity with which our presidential flag bearer possesses, and continues to pursue as a strategy for reconciliation.
Did he say you guys should not talk?
Yes. No, he didn't say we shouldn't talk. He said nobody should engage with Wike to the point of insulting him or denigrating him. And the reason is because negotiations are always open. Because in political process, it is not over until it is over. And at any given time, even at the 11th hour, there is still room for reconciliation. But the reason why I am here tonight especially because the meeting of today, so much was said. So much was said to the point where, just like you talked about it, we've had a lot of people who wanted a reaction. And the quietness is sort of suggesting to the people as though the party, for all intent and purposes, has offended Wike, and all the facts as adduced by him are correct. Like we said, and we have always said it, it bears repeating. Wike is one of our pride because Wike is PDP through and through. Everything Wike has and he is today is because of People's Democratic Party. In other words, he is a beneficiary of the party. And we're proud that apart from benefiting from the party, he has also demonstrated that he's somebody who believes and is acting out development, in the party. However, there are so many facts that needs to be clarified, and we think that it will be necessary for the purposes of history and posterity that we clarify that.
Let's take them one after the other.
Right.
In all of the almost 2 hours of conversation, there was a word that came out clear and glaring, and that is betrayal. There was an underlining sentiment of betrayal between relationships and distrust also between the relationship of Mr. Wike and Mr. Atiku Abubakar, Mr. Tambuwal, Senator Yocha Ayu, and some other elements within the rank and file of the PDP. That is challenged your candidate to say, these are the things that he said to him. He said to him that Senator Yocha Ayu should leave. Telling Governor Wike, according to what Governor Wike said in that conversation, that Senator Yocha Ayu would have to leave.
Right.
And also, Senator Yocha Ayu is no longer, it's not a secret that he said it in the media, that he would leave should there be an emergence of a presidential candidate of a northern extraction. These are some of the issues. And he said, these are distrust, these are betrayal of the statement these persons have made.
Well, let me put it this way. I think that probably only today he's mentioning the individuals you've just mentioned their names. But I know in the past, he has also mentioned people like the entire governors of the South when he said his own brothers betrayed him. Before then, he has also said that governors in the Southeast betrayed him at some point. He has, in the past, said Dave Umahi, who left the party, betrayed him. He has said Ben Ayade of our party also betrayed him, that left the party to APC. It appears to me that everybody around him has betrayed him as long as he doesn't have his way. And that is with the greatest respect to him. Because if I take you back memory lane, you will believe with me that, you will agree with me, that all the parties, the chairman of the party that have come, at least the last 3-4 chairmen of the party, he brought them. And there were times when he had a problem with them and he insisted they have to go. So why is it that everybody is betraying you in life? He has recently said, even some of the stakeholders in his own state, people like Limeba, Senator Limeba, of course, you have Celestino Meha, you have Okpara, and you have Dakuku and the rest. He said they betrayed him. These are his strong men. He has, at some point, there's virtually nobody who he has said the person has not betrayed him once you disagree with him. And to us, that is not good for a political party. With respect to the party structure, you see, so much is being said about Iyochayu as the chairman of the party that I think Nigerians need to know. What is it about Iyochayu that he has to leave? Because if we are going to pander to what we hear every day, even from the party, there is this wild-held belief that he wants to run in 2027 for presidency. And for him to succeed in that, he has to put a chairman. But the chairman he will want to put will have to then undermine the party's progress, because that will pave way for a new order for the 2023 election that he wants to run. Those who say that, I never said that, but those who said that have furnished facts to support it. For example, Peter Obi moved to Labour Party, and the obedient movement came as a result of the conduct of Governor Wike, because Peter Obi was frustrated out of the party in Anambra State by Chris Uba, owing to the position that was held by Governor Wike, as people are saying. The whole gamut of power zoning here or there started with Governor Wike. He virtually had everything he wanted. He brought this chairman. And when a discussion was being done in the party that power should be zoned, I recall very well, Atiku Abubakar said if the power, he was inclined, if it was going to be zoned, he was inclined that it should be zoned to either southeast or northeast. Because he said these are the two geopolitical zones that have not benefited. Then he said if it was ever zoned to the southeast, he was not going to run. The movement then was it should be micro-zoned to the southeast among stakeholders from the southeast. He frustrated it because he was interested. He influenced the emergence of leaders that sat in committees, whether committee for party position or committee for elective office. At his behest, a recommendation was made that it should be thrown open, evidently because he is not from the southeast. That led to the departure of Peter Obi. Otherwise, Peter Obi today, if the zoning thing was followed, Peter Obi, or probably the former SGF, would have emerged as presidential candidate of the party.
But the argument on Wike's team, is a bit different from what you've just analyzed. That in fact, the blame, the exit of Peter Obi and Kwankwaso from the PDP on Iyochayu. And that when they got a signal, that the party got a signal that these two people were going to leave, that the national chairman just dismissed them and felt that they didn't matter in the scheme of things and allowed them to go. So you are blaming the exit of Peter Obi on Wike now.
Yeah, I am saying that positions that Governor Peter Obi has held in the past at every given point, like the shifting of the goalposts, has had its own consequential effect on members of the party. The idea that frustrated Peter Obi out was because there was never going to be an opportunity for the Southeast. If there was, he would have stayed, no matter what, because he believes in his popularity. When it was in fact zoned, when it was in fact opened, Atiku decided to participate. Because if you leave it open, that means everybody has a right to participate. During the electioneering process, if you recall, and I think media, they've covered it, Governor Wike was overwhelmingly convinced that he was going to win. You recall he went around the country. On that day, you remember what he said? I am a loyal party member. I will abide by the decision of the party, whichever way it goes. I will support the party and I will support to its success. So when you talk about betrayal, you also need to look at whether you have betrayed yourself, betrayed the party, or betrayed the people. You see, because the political party is a party of everyone. Let me tell you something about life. Because he's a Christian, I will probably have the luxury of quoting scripture. Otherwise, I would have considered sensibility. The scripture says God gives power to whomsoever he will. The minute you start playing, it's good to be rich and to be stupendously rich and to be helpful. But the one thing that God does not share is when you begin to take his place. How do you take the place of God? Where nothing moves except you are in it. Nothing moves except you direct it. I'll give you an example. He talks about equity, fairness, and justice. That has been the cliche and the hallmark of his campaign. But in his state, the chairman of the party and the governorship candidate are from the same senatorial district. In his state, the very individual that decided to pick a form to run for Senate when he has not given the approval. What happened to the person? The person was held in custody in his very state. He bought forms for aspirants. Well, so what about betrayal here?
Mr. Boala, I mean, I know that you just recently joined the PDP. I mean, you speak as though you've been there all along.
The facts are there.
The facts is like these stories are being told to you, or the ones that your principal, the candidates, had briefed you about?
The last thing the principal will ever have to discuss with me is about anybody in the party. But let me tell you, you are a journalist, you're here. You probably know more than I do in respect of facts. If you and I have a quarrel now, tomorrow it will be out in the air. Are you saying if somebody reading it in television or in newspaper tomorrow, just because he's not a member of our party, does not have the authority to quote and cite it? These are not empirical facts. I mean, these are not circumstantial evidence. You see, like you're meeting with him today, 80% of what you were saying was hearsay, hearsay, hearsay. I'm speaking to facts that you can call. For example, if I said stakeholders of his party in his state, he has had issues with them. I mentioned the name of people like Secondus, whom he brought and removed.
So when you're talking about the things that Governor Wike said, so that you can respond,
right?
He mentioned what the candidate said to him about Yocha Ayu, and he has challenged him to deny it. He has also raised, which we played, raised allegation that allegedly that Senator Yocha Ayu took up to $1 billion naira.
Let me quickly respond to the two.
And we reminded him that he's a lawyer. And he says he understands that he's not an unserious governor, and he's very serious about what he said.
That is the exact thing I was going to say, that as a lawyer and a bencher, he knows very well, with respect to the first issue, that Atiku Abubakar does not have the legal authority to remove Yocha Ayu, except if he's not a Democrat. And you cannot tell Nigerians, I'm going to enforce the Constitution of the Nigeria if you cannot be first an ardent, obedient person to the Constitution. There are laid down principles and rules for the removal of the chairman. How can a lawyer ever say that because you think, because I'm not here to substantiate or otherwise, but even if Atiku had told him, as a lawyer, he should have known that Atiku does not have the legal authority to remove Ayu. It has to go under, you see, PDP is not APC, where they move to Villa and the president will announce the chairman, and everybody moves.
He gave a premise.
Right.
And I think because of the issue of law, probably his understanding of the position of the constitution of the party. There is a premise on which the constitution of the PDP was built. And it was built on fairness, equity, and progressivism. That's what your members will say. Now, he looked at it and he gave a premise on which the way forward can be achieved. And he says, you cannot achieve it by legalese. You can achieve it basically because of, on the basis of political expediency. And this is what Mr. Wike has always said. And I'd like to pose it to you. He said there's not injustice. There is injustice, usually. And when I asked him about Ahmadu Ali and when Yar'Adua became president, they are both northern persons. And he said Olusegun Obasanjo was in office when Ahmadu Ali, Olusegun Obasanjo from the south, Ahmadu Ali from the north. Now, do you think it is fair for a southern PDP politician of the PDP to present a northern candidate after 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari? And this is part of Governor Wike's grouse.
So that's the fallacy. APC and PDP are not members of the same party. Nigeria does not have a by-commission where a decision of APC should impact on PDP. The fact that somebody from the north became president in APC, even if it is for 100 years, has no consequential effect in PDP because their constitution are different, their objectives are different, their philosophies are different. And if you stretch it down to PDP, when we talk about equity and fairness, the spirit and intention of the provision of that constitution of the party is that when the power moves to the south, the next time the power is moving, power should move to the north. That's what it means.
If that was the case, Mr. Boala, why did your party now go for a northern PDP national chairman? if you think that whatever happened in the APC, as though it was not Nigeria, never mattered to the PDP.
So here is the point. Here is the point, and very important. You see, the spirit of fairness and equity, it has been the cliche that has been pushed. The last president in PDP came from the south. The next president in PDP should come from the north. That is the spirit and intent of that constitution. You talk about the national chairman. There was a committee that was formed to zone. The party's constitution provides for the National Working Committee to create committees to deliberate on issues in accordance with the law. When this committee was formed, the chairman of the committee was a close ally to Wike. And that committee came up with a recommendation that should be zoned. The party, the Atiku, has no impact on that matter. When the committee came to deliberate on the zoning of elective office, remember, the chairman of that committee is also a close ally of Wike. You see, at every material time that the party took decision, at least in the last few times that we know, there were decisions that were taken in the belief that Wike should have his way. That's why I said it is not good to play God. It is not good to have quarrel with people. You can have quarrel with destiny.
You assume Wike is playing God?
From the look of things, because how many months have we been now? It is just Wike. The flag bearer has never said anything. And I said nobody should insult him. But let me tell you, this party was formed. The founding fathers of the party, this Yochayi you are saying, and Atiku, they were members of the founding foundation. And even though they left, they still have to come back. And let me tell you why you can't play God. Atiku left the party, he survived. Ayu left the party, he survived. If Wike leaves, the party will survive. Obasanjo is not in PDP, it survived. You need to understand and know the limit of your operations and influence.
Are you also able to talk about the alleged impropriety and alleged bias? And I mean, Jonah Jang mentioned that the national chairman descended into the arena by telling Governor Tambuwal that he was a hero of the convention because he stepped down, and he made Governor Wike also made. I'm making reference to Governor Wike because we are here to react to him.
Correct.
So he laid it and said, look, the reason why Atiku Abubakar emerged was because they were playing a script and they were playing from an answer to the question.
Okay. Here is the answer, the reaction, and it is very simple. That kind of argument is also laughable. You influenced the coming of the chairman. So at what point did you lose him? All the chairmen that came before you, you brought them.
He alleged that he has taken money.
So he does, and he's a lawyer. If someone takes money that you believe is a bribe, what is your duty, professional duty? Is to report to the law enforcement.
He said he has evidence. Are you challenging him to provide the evidence?
He is to report to the law. It's not just producing. Report to law enforcement. And he who comes to equity must also come with clean hands. But let me quickly address that point of they played answer to the question or question to the answer. You see, the process that led to the emergence of Atiku was fair and transparent. Everybody could tell. His anger is that somebody walked up to him, to Tambuwal, and told Tambuwal, you're the hero of the convention. When Obasanjo was president in Nigeria, at every given time that there were primaries, he had his own candidate. You have a right to have your preferred candidate. The most important thing is don't screw the process.
Okay, let me
don't
ask
influence
you.
this process.
So now the thing is that the question that some of the leaders on this other side are saying, on what premise would your party go to Nigerians with a northern presidential candidate, a northern national chairman? How would you tell Nigerians that you are truly a Nigerian political party?
Unfortunately, this is being used by politicians, but the Nigerian people, they already know politics and they know what they want. You see, Ahmadu Ali was chairman, Yar'Adua was presidential candidate. They went to the people and the people voted them. That's a fact. Let me tell you what Nigerians care about. They don't give a hoot. Who is the secretary? Who is this? Political party can have all of that in order to synergize and have a front heading to the election. But I can tell you that, Shona, you can write it for me. In 2023, when these Nigerians go to the vote, what they will be looking at is the security of their lives, is the welfare of their children, is the education of their children, is the dismal and abysmal performance
what
of
about
APC
the alleged
government.
marginalization of some section of the country?
That is what APC did, which they will correct when they go to the poll. PDP has no, you see, the last politician I can say that boldly in Nigeria you can look at or point at and say he's discriminatory or he's an ethnic champion is Atiku Abubakar. Look at his business, look at his politics, look at everything.
All right. Let me, on the final note, Mr. Boala, Governor Wike has said the way out is to resolve this using political expediency measures to resolve what he says ab initio, there's been some extra constitutional means of going forward.
Extra constitutional.
Because your party, according to him, there are some breaches that your party.
So you cure a breach.
Now, so this is is a party problem. So I mean, this is his words, and you're a lawyer. So he's saying that your party should convene NEC meeting to resolve all of these and find a way of politically resolving this matter. But fundamentally, is that the leader of your party, as we speak, is the Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate.
Right.
Now, the question is, do you think that Nigerians can trust your principal, the presidential candidate, to unify this nation if it cannot unify its party?
The president, the flag bearer of our party, as influential and powerful as he is, does not have power over the will of another man. He's not God. This is what I've been trying to establish from the beginning. Number two, there is no amount of demand that can be made. You see, this is a test for Atiku. It's a test for the main election. How do you respect the constitution of your party as you go to say you want Nigerians to vote?
So that's the question. Nigeria is more complex than your party. So
Right.
if your principal is not able to unify your party, how can Nigerians trust that he can unify Nigeria?
So that's the answer. The constitution has provided the means by which you can remove a chairman. It is, as a lawyer, it is only when the wordings or construction of a status is not clear, it creates ambiguity, that you begin to bring all these externalities. Once the wordings are clear and unambiguous, the Supreme Court said, give it its ordinary meaning and interpretation.
All right.
Now, so for him to ask for extra constitutional means, it means we should tell Nigerians we intend to govern them by violating the Constitution of Nigeria.
Dr. Daniel Boala, a lawyer and the spokesperson to the PDP Presidential Campaign Organization. Thank you so much indeed for talking to us.
And we beg Governor Wike to see reason and come on board. We've moved on. We're going to the campaign.
You people, don't use this platform to be begging. don't use this platform, and don't take my audience for a ride and use this platform to resolve your differences. Go and do the right thing in your party. It's your party problem. We'll take a break, everyone.